What if the biggest clue in from was never hidden because the man in yellow already told us the ending? Not in a riddle. Not in a symbol. Not in one of Victor's drawings. He said it directly. And the terrifying part is nobody understood what he meant. Because if you go back and look at every cycle, every death, every sacrifice, every failed escape attempt, there is one pattern that never changes. Hope rises. People fight back. Someone believes they found the answer. Then everything falls apart. And now Season 4 is standing on the edge of the exact same pattern. But this time, the man in yellow said something different. He didn't warn Tabitha to stop. He didn't threaten Boyd. He didn't try to kill Jade. He simply said, "You already know how this ends." That changes everything. Because if he's right, then Season 4 is not about finding the way out. It's about realizing they've already seen the ending before. And the scariest possibility? The ending might not be escape. The ending might be sacrifice. Section 1. The warning was never about escape. The biggest mistake fans keep making is assuming the man in yellow is trying to stop them from leaving. But what if that's never been his job? What if his real purpose is much darker? What if he exists to keep the cycle moving exactly the way it always has? Look at the pattern. Every time someone gets close to understanding the truth, the town shifts. Not randomly. Precisely. Christopher saw the symbol and lost his mind. Abby believed the town wasn't real and started killing people. Sarah heard voices and became a weapon. Jade keeps seeing pieces of the past. Tabitha keeps inheriting memories that don't belong to her. That's not chaos. That's design. The town doesn't kill knowledge immediately. It corrupts it first. That matters. Because the man in yellow has never acted like the monsters. The creatures hunt. They feed. They follow rules. But him? He watches. He appears only when someone gets too close to the truth. That means he's not part of the hunt. He's above it. Think about what he told Tabitha. He admitted the children could be freed. That's massive. For the first time, the show confirmed that the trapped children are at the center of everything. But then he added something worse. He said freeing them could create suffering beyond imagination. Most people hear that as a warning. I hear it as an explanation. Because what if freeing the children is the ending? Not the good ending. The real ending. And every cycle before this one failed because nobody could accept the cost. Look at Victor's story. The children poured hope into the roots. Those roots became the faraway tree. That means the tree is not just a portal. It's a prison built out of hope itself. That changes how we see everything. Hope isn't saving them. Hope is trapping them. And if the roots are the foundation, then destroying them might collapse the whole system. But what happens when you destroy the thing holding reality together? That's what the man in yellow was warning about. Not don't do it. But you won't survive it. Season 4 could be building toward the most brutal choice in the series. Save the children and destroy the town. Or save the town and leave the children trapped forever. And suddenly Boyd's tunnel mission looks very different. Everyone thinks Boyd is trying to find answers. But Boyd might actually be walking into the final mechanism of the cycle itself. Because every leader before him has gone looking. And every leader failed. That's important. The town expects Boyd to fight. It expects Jade to think. It expects Tabitha to remember. It expects Julie to walk. That's the script. And the man in yellow knows the script because he's seen it play out for centuries. Which means when he said, "You already know how this ends," he wasn't speaking to Tabitha. He was speaking to all of them. Because the cycle only ends one way. Someone always has to die. The question is who? And season May 4th have already given us the answer. Not Boyd. Not Jade. Not Tabitha. Ethan. Because Ethan has always been different. He understands the story better than anyone. And in stories like this, the child who understands the rules is usually the one standing at the center of the final sacrifice. And if that's true, then the man in yellow didn't reveal the ending. He revealed the cost. Ethan was never the hero. He was the key. If season 4 is really moving toward the ending the man in yellow described, then we need to stop looking at Boyd, Jade, and Tabitha as the center of the story. Because From has quietly been telling us since episode 1 that the center was always Ethan. Go back to the beginning. Ethan arrived broken. injured, half-conscious. But even then, he was seeing things nobody else could see. The Lake of Tears, the quest, the broken kingdom. At the time, it felt like a child making stories to survive trauma. But now, it looks like memory. That's the difference. What if Ethan wasn't imagining anything? What if he was remembering? That changes everything. Victor understood Ethan immediately, faster than anyone else. That always felt strange. Victor avoids people. He hides from pain. But with Ethan, there was a connection. Why? Because Victor recognized the pattern. Not Ethan himself. His role. Victor has lived through at least one complete massacre. Maybe more. He knows how cycles repeat. And if Ethan occupies the same place in the pattern as someone from before, Victor would see it instantly. That explains why Victor protects him so fiercely. Not because Ethan is helpless. Because Ethan is important. And the boy in white keeps orbiting Ethan too. That matters. The boy in white doesn't spend time with everyone. He appears with purpose. Victor, Tabitha, Ethan, the people closest to the heart of the cycle. And Ethan has always been treated like he belongs there. But here's where it gets darker. The entire mythology of From keeps pointing back to children. The Enquete children. The sacrificed children. The trapped children. The children who poured their hope into the roots. Children are not side characters in this story. They are the engine. And Ethan might be the missing piece that completes it. Think about this. What if the cycle resets because it always needs a child at its center? Not just for sacrifice. For replacement. That would explain why the trapped children remain children. They're frozen. Preserved. Like pieces in a machine. But machines break. And when one part weakens, something new has to take its place. That's where Ethan comes in. The town didn't bring him there by accident. It selected him. That's why the crash happened. That's why the Matthews family was pulled in. And that's why everything escalated the moment they arrived. Sophia said it herself. The bad thing started when Jade and Tabitha came. But maybe she was wrong. Maybe it started when Ethan came. Because Ethan wasn't just another resident. He was the replacement. And if that's true, the man in yellow's line becomes terrifying. You already know how this ends. Because the ending has happened before. A child gets chosen. A sacrifice is made. The system survives. And everyone else forgets. That would explain Victor's missing memories. Not because he repressed them. Because the town erased them. Think about how often memory is unstable here. Tabitha inherits Miranda's memories. Jade inherits pieces of his past selves. Victor forgets. Julie slips through time. Memory in From isn't personal. It's structural. It's part of the system. That means Ethan's stories may not be stories at all. They may be fragments of the cycle itself leaking into him. And if Ethan starts remembering fully in season 4, everything changes. Because children tell the truth before adults understand it. That's been true since the start. When Ethan talks, people dismiss him. But every major symbol has passed through him first. The quest, the trees, the lake, the monsters. He saw it all. Before anyone else. That's not coincidence anymore. That's evidence. And here's the nightmare. What if saving Ethan is the one thing that guarantees everyone dies? Because if Ethan is the key, protecting him could be preserving the cycle itself. Boyd would never sacrifice him. Tabitha would never allow it. Julie would fight to the death for him. Which means the emotional center of the group is built around protecting the exact thing that may need to be destroyed. That's how this place wins. It weaponizes love, not fear. Fear makes people run. Love makes them stay. And season 4 might force the hardest choice yet. Kill the child to save the town. Or save the child and let the cycle continue. And if that choice comes, who makes it? Because there's only one person cold enough, broken enough, and desperate enough to do what nobody else can. Victor. And if Victor is forced to choose between Ethan and ending the cycle, that could become the most devastating moment in the entire show. Because Victor has seen this ending before. And this time, he may be the only one willing to let it happen. The man in yellow may not be the villain. He may be the last survivor. This is where the whole theory flips. Because if you've been watching from like it's a monster story, season 4 might completely destroy that idea. What if the man in yellow isn't the one controlling the cycle? What if he's the only one who escaped it? Think about how different he is from everything else in the town. The creatures hunt. They smile. They follow patterns. They obey nightfall. But him? He walks in daylight. He appears without warning. He speaks clearly. He understands the system. That puts him outside the rules. And in from being outside the rules is everything. Every character trapped in this place is reacting. Boyd reacts. Jade reacts. Tabitha reacts. Victor survives. But the man in yellow? He observes. That's not the behavior of a prison guard. That's the behavior of someone who knows what prison feels like. And, maybe worst, escaped it. Go back to what he told Tabitha. He didn't say, "You can't free them." He said, "You're about to do something that's never been done before." That line matters. Because if this was just another failed cycle, he wouldn't care. He's seen failure before. But this scared him. That means Boyd, Jade, and Tabitha are moving towards something truly different. Something outside the script. And if the man in yellow fears that, it means the ending might not reset the cycle. It might destroy it. But destruction cuts both ways. What if the town itself is a seal? Not a trap. A seal. Holding something beneath it. The sacrifice chamber. The roots. The children. The bones. All of it points downward. Buried. Hidden. Contained. And if that's true, then maybe the town was built to keep something in, not keep people out. That changes the monsters too. Maybe they aren't jailers. Maybe they're guards. Corrupted, twisted, broken guards, but guards. And every night they stop people from wandering too close to the truth. That would explain why the deeper you go into the tunnels, the stranger things get. The creatures sleep there. The roots connect there. The symbols lead there. Everything points to one center. Something ancient. Something hungry. Something older than the cycle itself. And what if the man in yellow is the only person who remembers what was sealed? That would explain his warning. Not because he wants the town to survive. Because he knows what happens if it doesn't. And suddenly the ending looks even darker. Because maybe escaping from Ville was never the goal. Maybe surviving what's beneath it was. Think about the title. From. Not where are they, but where are they from? What if every resident isn't random? What if every person brought into the town is descended from the original people who created the seal? Bloodlines. Reincarnation. Inherited memories. It all fits. Jade keeps returning. Tabitha keeps returning. Victor remembers fragments. The children keep calling. This isn't random selection. It's lineage. And the cycle isn't punishment. It's obligation. Generation after generation, the bloodlines return to maintain what was started. That's why nobody truly escapes. The system pulls them back. Because unfinished blood always returns. And season 4 might reveal the worst truth of all. The way out exists. It always existed. But leaving means abandoning the seal. That's why Tabitha came back. Not because the town dragged her. Because the bond was unfinished. That means if anyone leaves now, the cycle doesn't follow them. Something worse does. That could be the real ending the man in yellow was talking about. Not everyone dying inside the town, but the thing beneath the town getting out. And if that happens, the whole world becomes from Ville. That's the ultimate horror. The monsters were never the infection. They were the containment. And the people fighting to escape, maybe breaking the only wall holding the real nightmare back. So when the man in yellow said, "You already know how this ends," maybe he wasn't talking about death. Maybe he was talking about release. The release of the children. The release of the truth. The release of the thing below. And in season 4, somebody is going to make the choice. Break the cycle. Or preserve the prison. Either way, somebody loses. And if this theory is right, the ending of From won't be about who escapes. It will be about who stays behind to lock the door again. Forever. And the darkest part? The person most likely to do that has always been Boyd. The ending was never hidden, it was repeated. If everything before this is true, then season 4 is not building toward a mystery. It is building toward repetition. Because the man in yellow didn't introduce a new idea. He pointed at an old one. Something the town has already done, again and again, in different forms, with different faces. And every time, it ends the same way. A group of people gets close. They start connecting the pieces. They believe this time is different. And then the system corrects itself. Not through random chaos. Through human behavior. Fear spreads. Trust breaks. Someone becomes the target. And everything resets. That is the real cycle. Not monsters. Not tunnels. Not symbols. People. And how they turn on each other when pressure becomes too heavy to carry. That is why the man in yellow matters. Because he doesn't need to fight Boyd. He doesn't need to stop Jade. He doesn't need to kill Tabitha. He only needs to wait. Because the pattern does the work for him. And season May 4th already be inside the final stage of that pattern. Look at what is happening right now. Boyd is pushing forward with certainty. Jade is pulling the group toward logic and discovery. Tabitha is carrying memory she doesn't fully understand. Victor is holding knowledge nobody trusts completely. Ethan is becoming central without anyone fully accepting what that means. And Henry is beginning to fracture under pressure. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Every role is filling itself again, like pieces falling into a shape that has been formed before. And that shape always leads to the same outcome, a collapse. But here is the difference this time. They know. They know about cycles. They know about past versions. They know about failures before them. That should be an advantage. But From has never been defeated by knowledge. It has always been defeated by emotion. Because knowledge does not stop panic. And panic destroys structure. That is why Sophia's influence matters more than anyone wants to admit. Because she is not creating new problems. She is reactivating old ones. Suspicion.
Blame.
Isolation. The exact conditions that have always triggered collapse. And it only takes one major failure. One mission that goes wrong in the tunnels. One death that feels unnecessary. One moment where fear becomes louder than trust. And the entire group fractures. Once that happens, the cycle completes itself. Because someone will always need a reason. And the town always provides one. Jade becomes too intelligent to trust. Boyd becomes too aggressive to follow. Tabitha becomes too connected to the past to understand the present. And Ethan becomes too important to ignore. Which makes him the easiest to weaponize emotionally. Because the moment the group stops thinking collectively, they start thinking in targets. And that is when From wins. Not when it kills everyone, but when it turns them into the thing they are trying to escape. Now here is the most dangerous possibility of all. What if the man in yellow is not predicting the ending, but remembering it? What if he has seen every version of this exact moment? Different faces. Same choices. Same collapse. And this time, something is slightly off. Small differences. A connection that shouldn't exist. A memory that carried over when it shouldn't have. A child who remembers too much. A man who survived something he shouldn't have survived. A woman who came back when she was never supposed to return. Those are not signs of progress. Those are signs of instability in the system. Which means season 4 might not be the end of the cycle. It might be the first break in it. But breaking a cycle does not guarantee freedom. It guarantees consequence. Because if the structure holding everything in place is removed, then whatever it was containing does not stay contained. And that brings everything back to the man in yellow's final implication. Not that they are trapped. Not that they are chosen. But that they are participating in something much larger than survival. Something that requires continuation. And if they disrupt it, they may not be escaping a prison. They may be dismantling a barrier. And that would explain why he appeared now. Not to stop them from leaving, but to make sure they understand what leaving actually means. Because in stories like this, the ending is never escape. It is revelation. And revelation always comes with cost. So when he says, "You already know how this ends," it is not a threat. It is recognition. Because deep down, every character in From already understands the pattern. They just refuse to accept it. And season 4 is pushing them closer than ever to finally admitting it out loud. That the town doesn't end the story. The people do. And this time they might finally choose wrong.